And the first 500 days team. And I'm very happy to be here. Hopefully, people who are attending today will get some insights on how the investors think. So let's see. I'm very comfortable with Zoom, but let's see with share screen on this thing. So this is good enough, or should I do?
It's good enough. We can start from here. Yes.
Okay. So okay, good. So most of you are already into a business, or some of you are building your MVP, or will be getting into business. So typically, I always say that any business starts with an idea, right? And if we even go a step behind and we talk about thoughts, then we get almost 50,000 thoughts every day, out of which probably people like you and me who are always thinking of some entrepreneurial venture, probably 100, 200 of them could be ideas. But not every idea can be converted into a business, right? So can be converted into a business model. So don't always, and that is one thing I always tell startups, that don't be so passionate and like thinking that this is the next big thing. Yes, it could be the next big thing. Idea is very, very important, but I'll come to later on that how I feel, and I'll give you some examples how execution is more important than just the idea, right? So don't be too stuck with thinking that my idea is like the ultimate thing and this is going to be right. So yes, idea is important. Idea is where you will be starting off, but please make sure that a business model can be built around that idea, right? Secondly, identify a problem statement. I mean, many times what people do, and there are some other jargons that are used like product market fit, right? So many startups I've seen that they just have an idea, but they have not really identified a problem statement. So let's take, I think Srinidhi was there. I didn't catch what exactly his product is, but I'm assuming it's a food product. There's some technology that they have taken from CFTRI. Maybe it's in millet processing or like something. But what is the problem statement that, sorry, it was Srinivas, I think, right? But what is the problem statement that you are really trying to address? So if, can you in one line tell what exactly your products are?
Sir, we are mainly into, not exactly into millet. So we are mainly into dehydrated of fruit powders and even vegetable powders. So mainly reducing the wastage of the fruit and fruits and increasing the profitability for farmers and this thing.
Okay.
And after that, from the vegetables, we are planning to extract the active components and planning to supply to the pharmaceutical industry.
I got it. Yeah. So you have identified a problem statement from the farmer side of things, which is good. But the products that you will be manufacturing, whether there is a demand for it, whether there is a product market fit for it. Like in dehydration also, there is spray drying, there is solar, there is freeze drying, there is drum drying. There are so many different technologies that are available. So the technology that you are going to use and the product that you are going to make, is there a problem statement up there in the market, right, which you're trying to address? So I can again expand on your business idea itself, that yes, dehydrated products are used in products such as sauces and ketchups and dry mixes and a lot of other things. But at a retail level, I don't think you and I, we are really using dehydrated vegetables. Maybe dehydrated fruits, yes, a little bit. But just because onion prices go up 100 rupees a kilo, I don't see anybody at a retail level, you and me, saying, okay, let's use dehydrated onions, right? So you really need to understand the problem statement for which you are trying to address. And one of my favorite examples to beat up upon a little bit is spice industry. Many startups walk up to me and say, we want to make spices, we want to make garam masala and things like that. I can assure you there are 5,200 spice manufacturing businesses in India, obviously dominated by the likes of your Everest, Bacha, MDH and things like that, right? And out of this 5,200, around 2,600 close down every year and new 2,600 come up, right? So the number remains more or less the same, but there are almost 50% who will close down and 50% new coming up. Why is that happening? Because A, the barrier to enter into that kind of a business is very low. Anybody at home can take a mixer and start and do it. B, they have not really identified a problem statement. So if I ask open question and I'll only answer it, that what pav bhaji masala we use, almost all of you who are here, 9 out of 10 out of from here will say we use Everest. And if I ask you, do you have any problems with using Everest pav bhaji masala? Most likely the answer is no. So then you entering into a spice manufacturing and making pav bhaji masala is not the right thing. But there could be some other problem statements in the spice market, right? Like there could be quality, quality could be a concern for some, pricing could be concern for others. Or like I was saying, typically in a nuclear family, pav bhaji is made once a month and you need 10 grams at one time, let's say. But the pack sizes that are available are 50 grams. So why should I buy 50 grams and manage it as a housewife or today's wife who's working, right? So why not have a sachet packs of 10 grams? So that could be a problem statement where I need a smaller size, So bottom line, and some of this example may resonate with people who are from food industry, may not resonate so much from others who are from not from food industry. But the bottom line I'm trying to drive home here is, please first identify the problem statement. And if you have not, then please try to map the solution that you're providing to the problem statement that you have, right? So let's say you're into millet processing, then okay, health is typically the problem statement that you're mapping it. So and many startups have seen the number one reason they have for their failure is because they have not identified a problem statement for which they're providing a solution. Again, I'll give you a non-food example, one of my favorites, which is Uber or an Ola, the typical aggregator model. It's not that taxi services did not exist before they came in, right? I live in Mumbai, we have the Kali Pilis, but there were certain lacunas in that existing model. A, you had to go find the taxi. B, they may overcharge you. C, they may come, they may not come, they may refuse to come. D, you want to go to airport tomorrow at 4 a.m. You're nervous whether I'll get a taxi or not. So there were certain problems in the existing Kali Pili model, which now the Ola or an Uber is able to address. And that is why they are as successful as they are, right? Same logic I give to the Swiggies and the Zomatos of the world. Not that restaurants did not deliver before the Swiggies came in, but they made it, they found the problem statement that for the restaurant guy, he didn't know whether to have 2 delivery boys today or 10, how much demand he's going to have, right? So efficiently managing the delivery model, because if you have less people delivering, then the food will be delivered late and your customer will be unhappy because there's a small window in which the food needs to be delivered to him. And if you have too many people, then you are paying, it's an extra cost to you, right? So a problem statement was identified and a good enough solution was given. And maybe in the Q&A session, we can talk about individual models also and try to figure out that if you have not already figured out what is a problem statement, okay? But please do that. If you don't find a problem statement for which you're providing a solution, you will enter into a Me Too kind of a product. You will enter into a price war, right? And I always give an example of blue ocean strategy. I know it's difficult to find one, but try to figure out that whether what you're doing is more of a blue ocean where there's less competition, less players. You've changed the whole business model. You have changed the whole way things are done, right? Next, like I've already touched upon, that not every idea or every business idea can have a business model. And business model, by business model, I mean that you have to make money. I'm not very happy, and I was very happy to hear that most of you are bootstrapped. Even though my own personal business model is helping startups raise money, I'm more than happy to hear that most of you have not raised money, right? So, and I'll come to that, why and when you really need to raise money. Don't be in that Shark Tank mode or other mode that I have to raise money. No, it's not always necessary. If you're bootstrapped, that means your business model is actually working out. You're spending 1 rupee and you're earning more than that, right? So that is the ideal business model where you invest your time, effort, money, and you will actually make more money out of whatever you're trying to sell, be it a product or be it your service. Next, make sure you have a clear vision. Some of it might be, okay, I think I heard someone who's into you might be into EV, right? So making sure you're targeting the climate thing that is happening, or nutrition, or growing population, things like that. So make sure you have a clear vision and a clear goal that you have identified. Please identify a target group. So let's say, again, going back to Mr. Srinivas's case, that whether it's a B2B customer, whether it is going to be a B2C customer, whether it is going to be a B2B2C kind of a model, whether it is going to be a D2C kind of a model. Also try to figure out, like same Nilesh Lele has different buying patterns and buys at different platforms. So I buy through retail chain, I buy at malls, I buy through quick-com like the Blinkits of the world, I buy online. I'm doing D2C, like directly placing an order with you and you're delivering it to me through ShipRocket or Dunzo or VFast or whatever. So you have to identify who your target group is. Is Nilesh Lele your target group? Is Mr. Shivam your target group? You need to figure that out. And then where that target group is actually buying the product, and how you will be able to reach to that target group, how you will be able to deliver to that target group. I'll give you another statistics. As we speak, I think we have crossed around 44 crore as a population. And 8 crore out of those are actually richer than average American, right? Also, if you are into a nutraceutical kind of a product, I think the penetration in India is around 5 to 6%. So around 8 to 10 crore Indians are actually consuming nutraceutical products, which I will translate into more like health products or the products that you are trying to make, right? So these numbers are important because this 8 crore is your target group. They're scattered all over India, but typically they'll be scattered in 5-6 major pockets, your 4 metro cities and Hyderabad and Bangalore. So you need to know who's your target group, where is he, what is the price point he's going to buy it at, what is it going to cost me to make it. So costing and pricing are two different things. Cost is what you will have to pay to make it, whereas price is what you will sell it. And again, since there are more food people here, and I also have more affinity toward food industry, typically the pricing is 2 times your costing. Thumb rule is it should be 2x minimum. It could be even 3x, more the better in the food industry. Cosmetics, I'm working with one startup. He's selling something for 100 rupees MRP. His cost of goods sold is only 15 rupees. So there the gross profit margin is 85%, right? So costing and pricing is very different when we talk about cosmetics. So it's almost 6 times compared to what the cost of goods sold is. Whereas in food, it is 2 times. Pharma, again, it could be 8 to 10 times. Like the tablets that you and I are buying, the strip may cost 100 rupees for 10. It may actually be costing only 10 rupees to make it, right? So this pricing in the market, you should be aware. The competition in the market, you should be aware. Who's your competitors? And I always say that it's not necessarily that if you are into health products, then only the other health products are your competitor. No, I always say everybody is your competition. If you are making, let's say, a 10 rupee fruity, then it is not only the mazas and the slice who are your competitors. It's even the vada pav who's your competitor. It is even your Cadbury chocolate who's your competitor, because money in any person's pocket is limited. So he's thinking, in that 10 rupees, should I buy fruity, or should I buy a vada pav, or should I buy a samosa, or should I buy a chocolate, or should I go to a movie? So of course for 10 rupees you'll not get that. But what I'm trying to say is that if everybody is targeting, you and me, all of us are targeting that 500 rupees in our customer's pocket. So don't be under the impression that only the other dehydration products in the market are my competition. No, yes, they are your direct competitors, but there are so many other indirect competitors that are out there who are vying for your customers 500 rupees, right? It could be, like I said, even the movies, right? Or some concert. It can be anything. So don't think that I have no competition. Many startups have this mindset, I have no competition. No, competition will always be there. Some might be visible and direct, and some of them might be invisible, because money or the resources in your customer's pocket is limited, right? And finally, I always like to tell startups, and again, I said I'm very happy that most of your bootstrap, that old school model of making profit is very, very important, right? And I think in last couple of weeks, thanks to Mr. Piyush Goyal and Suhail Seth and all that, a lot of other aspects of startups have come out. I partly agree with it, partly I don't agree with it, but it's okay. My main basic point is that if you are using our country's resources, your own resources, money, time, effort, the prime of your age, you have to make profit. Don't get swayed by these, and I'll not name them, but by these so-called unicorns or by these so-called startups or whatever you, who are like making 3,000 crore worth of losses. I mean, that's not what a business is. The business has to make profit because you have to add value to our society. In fact, some of these, by delivering something in 8 minutes, is, I think, destroying value, right? So it's not, maybe it's giving me value at a personal level, but as a society, as a country, I think that is destroying value. And I'm also, just today I ordered something on the so-called 8-minute quick comp, unfortunately, but as a whole, if you see, they're actually destroying value, right? So please don't do that if possible. Please try to have a mindset that sooner or later, yes, initially you may lose money, but sooner or later you should be profitable. Okay, maybe it may take 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, but I remember the Uber CEO make a statement that for a foreseeable future, I don't see us making profits, right? I mean, I was shocked to hear that. If you're in a business, you have to make profit. And then, like I briefly touched upon, don't be obsessed with your idea. Yes, idea is very important, but I give only 20% weightage, like dehydration product. What's so unique about the idea? Or even the Olas and the Ubers of the world. Now that we all know what is so unique about the idea, we can also do it, right? But why we have not done it, or we have not been able to do it, is because we are not as good at executing, right? And now that we know the aggregator model, there's so many other aggregator models that are possible. Like there's this thing, I think it blew up, but there was one called Go Mechanic, was trying to aggregate the mechanics. You have the urban clap or whatever, urban company aggregating the unskilled kind of labor, right? And there's so many others. So now that you know that how the aggregator model works, we can all make it. But why you and I have not made it yet is because we are not necessarily being able to do the execution properly, right? So all of you who are here, great, you have great ideas, everything is good, but that is only going to be 20%. 80% of your success is dependent on how well you will execute your idea. Okay, your idea might actually not be that great, but still, if your execution is great, you will be much more successful than someone who's not that good at execution. And finally, my final line, and always I tell all startups I talk to, is that please chase customers, please be profitable at a unit economics level. Investors will automatically chase you. So if you chase customers, I can guarantee you investors will chase you. But if you chase investors, it does not guarantee that the customers will chase you. Okay, so have this in your mind. And like I said, I do this for a living. And unfortunately, I don't find enough good startups, and we'll come to that in next couple of slides. I don't find enough good startups where my set of investors are ready to invest. As a startup, we always think that finding investment is hard, but I'm looking at both sides, and I can tell you, actually finding good startups who are fundable and funding ready is probably harder than actually finding money or investors. Okay, and because I do this, I can tell you from my own experience that it's actually finding good startups is harder. And that's precisely the reason, because most of the startups are actually chasing investors. I mean, many people come to me, they say, okay, we will do series A, we'll do series B, we will do series C. I'm like, okay, all that is good, but what about your sales? Tell me about your sales, right? That they are like, no, that is okay. We will just focus on this, bump up our valuation, and so on and so forth. It doesn't work. And I can tell you that it's hardly 3% people who are looking for funding get funded. Okay, so this is just the tip of the iceberg. The remaining 97% never get funded, but they don't come into the news, so we don't see them, right? So like we see the people who come on Shark Tank, but I'm sure there are thousands who are trying to get there, and we don't see those thousands, right? We are only seeing those few lucky 50 or 100 who get there. But what about the other 5,000 who are trying to get there. Nobody talks about them, right? So don't be swayed by necessarily the good things we see. There is a lot of people who are not getting funded. There are a lot of people who shut down, who don't do well, right? So they don't make a case there's no case study out of them. So we think that array everybody is getting funded. So don't be under this thing that just because I'm a startup I'll get funded. Okay, so let's look at what as an investor, even me or my investors we look at the journey and always try to bootstrap your business. And like I said, I'm very happy that most of you are doing it. And the first set of investors should be your family, friends. We call it FFF, fools, family and friends, right? Because if they don't trust you, if your parents or your close friends, they don't trust you, how do you expect someone who's unknown to you to trust you and become an investor, right? So you need to have your own investment. It could be as small as 1 lakh rupees and you're asking for 1 crore, fine. But you need to have your own money invested in your business. You need to have your sweat, not just saying that, okay, I'll work hard. No, you need to have some money, could be a fraction of what you're asking, but some money from your own pocket that goes into your business, some money coming in from your family and friends, which shows that, okay, there is some trust in the ones who know you, right? That makes me feel confident that, okay, his friends and family have invested 10 lakh rupees. So they have some trust in him. So, okay, now I'm willing to trust you with 1 crore, right? So the quantum could be way away, right? You have invested smaller amount and what you're asking is much bigger. It's fine, but it needs, I need to see the commitment from your side. And like I was recently working with one team, all big executives worked. They were the ones who launched Tuyam and Dehat and so on, but as employees, and now they are on their own. And they were looking for around 15 crore funding, but they were saying we will not put a single rupee from our pocket. I said, listen, it doesn't work that way. And you are coming to investor meetings in a BMW, and you are telling the investor that I'm not going to put in a single money. It doesn't go that way. You sell your car, you get into a WagonR, right? Put that money into your business. If you are not willing to put your own money, 50 lakh rupees, how do you expect an investor put in 15 crore when he can clearly see the kind of lifestyle and the kind of things you're doing? That means you are not your, I jokingly say it, and there's some truth to it, but you should be willing to sell your house and put the money into your business, right? That shows your confidence. Again, I'm not asking any of you to do that, but if you do that, that is telling me that he has so much confidence in his own business that he's willing to sell his house of 50 lakh, 1 crore, put it in. And that is why now he's all in and is asking for money from investors like me. And it could be 5 times, 10 times, 100 times more than that. But that shows your commitment, right? So never go to an investment without doing your own self-contribution, as small as it could be. Typically, investors don't invest at an idea level or a proof of concept. They like to see some traction. At least I like to see some traction, because that means there is a need. You have probably figured out a problem statement. There are paying customers, right? So traction means there is some sales. So I ideally like traction. Typically, and most of the investors I deal with, they typically like traction. Again, I'm not saying if there's no traction, it will not happen, but it's very, very difficult. And personally also, I think that you should not go to an investor till you have some traction. Till then, you can build your business using not just your own money, but there are a lot of grants out there, like the likes of Department of Science and Technology. I think since you are incubated, I think at CFTRI Mysore, they also keep coming up with this 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 25 lakh challenges. There are grant challenges from AICT. There's a MSME challenge that keeps coming out. Department of Biotechnology through BIRAC, they give grants up to 1 crore. So till wherever possible, there's a Startup India Seed Fund. HDFC Parivartan, I was part of one of the jury at incubator in Baramati. So we gave, I think, 10 lakh rupees to, I think, 3 or 4 startups. So money is out there. So try to use that money also. And maybe Shivam and his team can help you navigate through some of these grants, right? So try to utilize these grants because these are grants. You don't have to return them and there's no equity involved. So try to use some of these grants till you reach a certain level where now, okay, now you cannot go beyond because now you need investor money, but right. But up until that, because the later you raise money, the higher valuation you will have and the lesser dilution you will need, right? So that is why, and like I said, it's I earn money by getting investment, but I am only telling you that you should try to delay the investment as much as possible till you think that no, I cannot grow any further, or and I'll come to the two typical reasons why you need money, uh, and because I need money, right? So like right now also I'm working with one startup who's developing a treatment on solid tumors, solid cancer tumors, right? So typically for liquid there are but what he's developing is called CAR T, CAR-T. So you take white cells out, you re-engineer them, and then you put it back in the body, and they are able to fight off the cancerous cells, right? So he has a proof of concept, he has the prototype, but he needs to go through the clinical studies, preclinical studies, then the clinical studies, and so he needs a lot of money, right? He'll need 2-3 years worth of money. So at this point in time, though he has put in his own couple of crore rupees, but he needs a lot more money to do all those things. So it's very, very obvious that he should go for investor money, right? But if it is not needed, you should not go. So even though he doesn't have traction as yet, uh, he needs to go because he's spending more than he's earning. So that is the scenario where definitely you will need to go and raise investor money. But the later you go, the better valuation you can expect and the lesser dilution you will have, right? So that's just that's why I advise that typically go to an investor when you have some sales, some traction going on. And like I said, what we hear in the news, don't get swayed by it. It's hardly 1 out of 40 or like 2%, 3%. And that's the ones that come to the news, right? The remaining 97%, they never come in the news. So that's why we think that, oh, all these startups, every day I'm seeing, right? This startup got 3 million, 5 million, 7 million, but there are hundreds who are not getting the money. So they don't make it to the news. So don't be too swayed by some of these numbers. So now let's come to the a little bit of a crux of what I want to talk today, which some parts I have touched upon. But whenever any startup comes to me, I look at two aspects. One is what I call fundable, whether they are fundable, and secondly, whether they are funding ready. Okay, just because you're fundable doesn't mean you might be funding ready, and I'll talk about the funding ready on next slide. But whether your startup is fundable or not, I ask 5 questions to that startup, or I use 5 questions to analyze that startup. Are they an industry leader? Are they a first mover? Is there any innovation? Right. So again, we'll go back to the fact that whether you have identified a problem statement, whether your solution is good enough or not. So something different. It can be a incremental innovation, but it has to be different. If it is not innovative, it is a me too product, then you are going to, like I gave example of pav bhaji masala. If it is a me too product, then again you're going to get into a fight war, right? But there could be some other ways, like even in chili grinding, you could use what is called cryogenic grinding, where you do liquid nitrogen, and that retains the all the bioactives of the paprika or the chili, because during grinding of chili, the temperature tends to raise by around 7 to 8 degrees, and there could be a lot of losses in the health benefits of your paprika or your chili, right? So cryogenic grinding, I'm the one who's doing cryogenic grinding, others are not. So there has to be some innovation, right? And same thing with Mr. Srinivas, whatever you're doing, your dehydration. So like there is one player called S4S, you can look them up, S4S. So they are also into dehydration and dehydrated product, but they use what is called conduction rather than convection. Typically, most of the dehydration is using convection, means you make your air hot and you're dehydrating the product, whatever it is, fruit, vegetable, or whatever you're trying. But they use conduction, so they will use the solar energy to make the plate, the surface hot, and using it's the surface to surface touching which is dehydrating the product, right? So they are, I think, the only one who's using conduction mechanism, and they have received Bill and Melinda Gates, what do you say, like grants and Alliance India grants. They are now being handheld by Marico Innovation Foundation, and I think they have crossed around 200 crore or so in the products, because the product quality is actually much superior to the convection based tray dryers, right? So they have patents in their way. So this is something that we need to, and that's what Piyush Goyal, I agree with him on that aspect at least, that we need to work more on technology innovations and those things where uh, don't just be aggregators and things like that. Okay, some people can, but I think we have a very technical audience here. So you need to come up with solutions which are different and really innovative, kind of a thing. Second is, okay, it's innovative, it's different, but can you maintain the competitive advantage? Because competition will always catch up with you. And I like to give an example of Facebook, that Facebook was not the first social networking site. People of my generation, we were on a site called Orkut. Why we were on Orkut? Because the pages would load really fast. And when I was probably your age, we used to use this concept called dial-up internet, right? Some of you might not even know what that is. So the Facebook pages would load much slower, and that's why people in mid 40s and close to 50s of mid 50s were the first social networking site that they were on is Orkut. Or my first email address was Hotmail, started back I think in 96 or something like that. I mean, I started the account. Obviously, Hotmail started in 94. So, but today, where is Hotmail, right? I mean, I still have that account, but I barely use it. Where is Orkut? Bought by Microsoft, closed down because they did not innovate. But you look at Google, they came up with Gmail, they came up with Google Docs, Google Meet, Google. I mean, today also we are using it, right? So same thing with your Facebook. So many innovations, right? So you are first mover or you have some advantage, but you have to keep moving ahead of your competition, because the competition is going to come and target you, right? Like you have taken the technology from CFTRI. Tomorrow I see that, oh, he's doing so well. Let me also approach the CFTRI guys. Let me also take the technology and do it. So you will always have competition trying to catch up with you. So you have to keep moving ahead, and that is where patents and other things may come into picture, like the CAR T or the solid cancer treatment startup that I spoke about. You and I cannot enter into it, right? So barrier to entry is again another aspect that I touched upon. How much barrier to enter the particular business has. Third is scalability, and fortunately, unfortunately, most of the money today is going into scalable models. So Mr. Srinivas making dehydrated products may find it difficult to get money, but the Swiggies and the Zomatos and the Zeptos and the guys who are going to deliver from their platforms are going to get money. Why? Because they are all hyper scalable models, right? Your model will need, if you have to become 100 times bigger, you may need 100 times bigger factory or factories at 10 different locations, and so on and so forth, right? So unfortunately, brick and mortar, though I'm a big fan of brick and mortar, and I think we should be doing brick and mortar, but at the same time, investment wise, the investors are chasing scalable models, because that's when their money will grow multiple times, right? And that is where the Oyos and the Ubers and the Olas and all those, where I have launched it in Mumbai, I can launch it anywhere in the world, right? So scalable model, see how you can make your model scalable. I'm not saying brick and mortar cannot be made scalable. It can be made scalable. Think how you can make it scalable. And fourth and fifth, fourth is whether this business can actually make money. And fifth is whether this team can make money. These are very, very important thing. And I would urge, I think I'm glad, I think we have around 30 people on 8 o'clock, late night, probably sacrificing their IPL time to be here. Revisit your own startup and ask these 5 questions to yourself and introspect. Why? Because you are the first investor in your own business. You need to figure out whether you are the industry leader, first mover, whether there's something different. Is there anything innovative? Can I maintain that advantage? How can I make my model scalable? Whether this business will actually make money, and whether I have a team, or me, do I have entrepreneurial skills to make money, right? Maybe some of these you may say yes, like no, maybe, things like that. Nothing wrong in it. Try to convert a weak yes into a strong yes, convert a no into a strong yes, right? So I'm not saying that I expect all of you to have all yeses, like very much yes, 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 yes. I'm not saying that is expected, But if you don't have very comprehensive yeses for all 5 of these, then see how you can make them into a strong yes, right? Then get a good co-founder, see how you will actually make money, work out your unit economics, figure out your costing. Maybe it's not properly, you're not sourcing from the right sources, or your pricing is incorrect, and things like that, right? So if I come across, like I gave you an example of this CAR T medical solid tumor kind of a startup, I think it's gives me a yes on all 5 of these, and that is why I'm very happy, and that's why we are associated with him in raising money, right? And even if it is not a yes, then we try to figure out that, okay, how to convert it into a yes. Okay. So Shivam, I still have time, right? Maybe another
Yes,
7 8
yes, yes.
Yeah?
Yes, Nilesh, take your time, no issues.
Okay. No, I don't mean to exceed the time, because I
No
know.
issues, Nilesh, no issues. Your advice is really valuable, so take your time.
Okay, good. 2 3 more slides only, because generally more it's everything is here, not really on the slides, right? But anyways, so now you have understood whether you're fundable or not, right? And you go yourself introspect, and whatever you think where, and I'm happy to share the PPT also, and nothing is for proprietary. And I always say कल किसी और का था, आज मेरा है, कल किसी और का होगा, right? So feel free to take photos, put it on social media, tag me, tag Shivam, right? Tag first 500 days and things like that. But anyways, jokes apart, next is whether you're funding ready or not. Just because you're fundable doesn't mean you're funding ready. So what are some of the parameters we look at? Whether the team is trustworthy. Sometimes there are trust or ethical issues with a lot of teams or co-founders, right? And we have also come across. So first thing we do is we Google. We see कि social media में क्या मिल रहा है. Sometimes you find some legal cases and some things like that, right? So make sure you have built a trustworthy team. Even a small thing like your credit score, which doesn't have to do with trust per se, but even a credit score is also could also sometimes become important, because that shows your financial discipline. And as an investor, I want you to be financially disciplined, right? And if you're not in your personal life, how you're going to be with my own money, right? So a small thing like that also could matter. You'd never know in due diligence which investor may do what, right? Next is obviously if is coachable, he or she, or the founding team, whether they are coachable, whether they are going to take inputs from the investor, because it's a marriage, remember, right? It can spoil. Wrong investor can also make your life hell, right? And we have seen enough cases. So it's a marriage. It's not a one-way traffic. It's a two-way traffic. And same thing you should also think, whether he's the right investor for me. What is the mindset he's coming with, right? Whether he's just coming here to ruin me, you also have to figure it out. Okay, it's a marriage. So but because I'm talking from investors point of view, I have listed it, whether the team is coachable, whether the founder is coachable, whether you're focused on current idea. See, we all pivot. Okay, we pivot, but finally when you're asking for money, hopefully you have finished pivoting and you have figured out that, okay, this is what I want to do, right? And I think we took Srinivasji's case and we said, are you going to do B2B? Are you going to do B2C? Are you going to go or wholesale? Are you going to export? Because these are different models. B2B is very different from a B2C model. B2C model actually needs a lot of money. It's a brand building exercise. So it's a totally different model. Of course, the investors will like to come in a B2C model. They don't like to go into B2B model because the brand is not happening. So the valuation is not there. In fact, I'll tell you that in FMCG, especially in food, it's D2C. So even if you are a B2C, Srinivasji, you need to position yourself as a D2C, because I'm working with a couple of D2C startup. One is in cosmetic, one is in food. And I just Googled the other day that what valuations they are getting. And I was surprised to see that they're getting 15 to 48 times their top line. So the likes of Licious and Fresh to Home and all these other D2C brand. I mean, really they're B2C only, right? Okay. But just because they're positioned as a D2C, you're getting 48 times. I mean, I'm not able to digest it. But if you're doing 1 crore turnover, you're looking at a 48 crore valuation. If you find an investor, I'll be happy for you. But these numbers are happening. But as against that, if you're a B2C, then you are getting 5 to 8 times. I mean, if you look at a Marico, which is a company, you are looking at around 5 times its top line as its market cap, right? So B2C is getting 5 times, 6 times, listed company, 5,000 crore company, but a D2C guy is getting 48 times, right? So crazy things are happening. But anyways, coming back to the point, Srinivasi, can I take the question at the end, or you can put it in the chat box and I can take it up. I would like to retain my link and try to wrap it up in next 5 to 10 minutes. So try to make sure that you are focused on the current idea. It may take you 6 months, 1 year to figure out, keep pivoting, figuring out your exact product mix and things like that. But finally that you have nailed down that, okay, this is what I want to do. I want you to focus on that. I don't want you to diversify, because I will do diversification at my end. I will put money in 10 different startups. But these startups are, for me, I'm taking a gamble, right? I don't want you to again diversify. I want you to take full risk in what you're doing. So whatever idea you have, you make sure you're going to stick to it, right? And or other way around, once you have figured it out is when you should really go to the investor. आप बोलोगे कि नहीं, today I've started as delivery, then I will only manufacture my own products, then I will only go and do farming myself, then farming I'll also do ecotourism. Investors don't like to hear that, right? You stick to one model. You may have plans of doing it in future, fine, but when you're pitching to an investor, you just say how big this D2C market is and I'm going to keep doing that, or how big this even dehydrated fruits, I can tell you some numbers. You can go on APEDA's website or also Ministry of Commerce's website. 1,000 crore worth of freeze-dried fruits were exported to Japan last year alone, right? And this data is there on APEDA's website and on the Ministry of Commerce website. I'm not making it up. So there is market for everything. But once you have narrowed it down to an idea, you please stick to it. Then whether there is a proven business model, means paying customers, repeat customers. Please figure out how much percentage of your customers are repeat, especially if you are in the FMCG, and again, you can Google it. You need to have minimum 70% repeat customers. So if you are in food products, fast moving consumer goods, like, cosmetics and other things, where people keep buying again and again, you need to have 60, 70, 80% repeat customers. And we are. If you ask you which toothpaste you use, I believe that all of us are using the same toothpaste for last 10, 20, 30 years, right? We don't keep changing ours, Colgate, फिर Closer, फिर Pepsodent, फिर Meswak, and like, Ramdeo Baba, Dantakanti. We typically don't do that, right? So we stay on the same thing. And you will observe your beverage preference, your any other preference, you'll always stick to a particular brand, right? If you're eating Saffola oil, you're eating Saffola oil. If you're eating Gemini, right? So that is what should happen with your brand as well. That of course there could be some products, if you're into an electric vehicle, typically people may buy a car after 5 years. So that may not necessarily be applicable in that case. 5 years, kisne dekha hai, the whole technology and the whole world may be different. But at least in a consumer product which is bought regularly, you need to have at least 60, 70% repeat customers, right? And same should apply to Shivam. Like, these 28 people should come back to your next session, right? And that they will, if I have done a good job, they will, right? And if you have done a good job, they will. So that's exactly what repeat customers should apply in your business. And then whether you're adapting newer technologies. I mean, today you can run your whole business on WhatsApp. And you must have seen, the other day I was using HDFC, and they are like, I typed something, and then they said, okay, credit card, debit card, whatever, click on it. Then credit card, it went, it asked me, what do you want? Increase credit limit. Same thing you can also do. You can run your whole business on WhatsApp through the WhatsApp. I don't know if they call it bot or whatever, but you can have your whole catalog. You can have your own MRPs given there, all your photos. You can take your orders. You can take UPI payments. You can deliver to them. So almost all things can be seamlessly done by simply like a WhatsApp, right? So please be aware, adopt new technologies. Another simple example is ONDC, right? That's I think it's a game changer. It has not happened as yet, but ONDC may be the game changer where a lot of like UPI has, where a better price discovery can happen. So the whole idea is that everybody is on ONDC. all buyers, all sellers are there. So there's much more transparency. So if I want to send something to Shivam, let's say in Gurugram, then I can go on ONDC and see all the courier guys or all the whatever shipping guys and get the best price and ship it, right? Others, back in the days, we had no transparency. Whoever was the courier guy close to us, he would say 100 rupiah hoega, we had to pay 100 rupees and come, right? So ONDC will be is another platform again promoted by the government that could be a game changer. So you need to be aware of these things, ready to adopt it. Then you need to have a proper marketing strategy, what we also call go-to-market strategy. What is your long-term strategy? And personally, I like a lean startup. I don't like, and all these so-called startups, their failing is once they get the money, they become very fat, right? And I'll name also one of them. Oyo was one classic example where after they got so much money, they went on a hiring spree that, because they had to show that they have spent money on hiring talent, and then the talent would bring in the sales and things like that. Never happened. Always try to work on a lean model. Okay. Well, so I briefly touched upon that. Why, according to me, why startup needs money. There are two scenarios where you need money. One is obviously that you're spending more than you're earning, and it could happen. You are in a development cost, you may have R&D cost, you may have, or like in pharma, there's you have to go through a process, approval process, there are validation batches and things like that. So in that scenario, yes, and what we typically call burn, but not what we are seeing today, that to acquire a customer you are giving 50 rupees off and then 20% off, and you keep giving and giving and giving and giving. And we saw what happened to Paytm. I mean, come on. There's a time where Paytm had much lesser sales than SBI. I mean, much smaller numbers, but their market cap was bigger than SBI. I mean, it had to blow up. I mean, you don't need an expert to tell that, right? And same thing happens. So burn is okay, but there should be a limit, and it cannot be only for customer acquisition, customer acquisition, customer acquisition. Someday it has to stop, and that customer that you have acquired, he should be giving you a break-even kind of a scenario, right? You cannot just have burn, burn, burn. Okay. And the second situation is where your internal accruals, where your profits are not large enough for your growth. So like I'm working with a quick serve restaurant. Today they have 13 in Navi Mumbai. They are profitable, and with the profit they can open 2 stores every year. But they want to open 100 stores in next 5 years, right? So they cannot go at that pace, organic pace of 2 stores every year. So in that scenario, I understand that you need external capital. But other than that, I don't see a reason why anybody will need money. If you are spending 1 rupee and earning 1.5 rupee, why do you need external money? I don't see a reason for that, right? So these are the two scenarios. And burn, again, I always try to say that be careful, because sooner or later you have to stop. You have to become profitable. That means your business model or the service or the whatever you are providing is not value adding, and that is why you're burning, right? And then cash obviously is important. And number one reason a lot of startups or a lot of MSMEs they fail is because of stuck working capital, right? So you need capital because you're buying things, then you convert it into something you sell. Could be a 30-day credit period. So there's a cycle, what is called a working capital cycle, typically assumed to be 90 days. It could even stretch further. So you need to have money to ensure that your working capital is in place. So now quickly, there are some ways, and I'm sure most of you are also familiar how to raise money. So you have the angels, you have the family offices like Marico has Harsh Mariwala ji, Rishabh Mariwala have Sharp Ventures, Rain Tree is there. There are many. And I'll show you a link from where you can also get. So family offices, I think Tata also has a family office. You have your angels or angel investors or high net worth individuals. Then you have the VC funds. Typically, if you are in the burn model, VCs are the place to go. If you are a profitable and like typical growth kind of a company, then private equity. So structurally, they are slightly different. They look at different scenarios to invest. But as a company for you, they're the same, right? But if you are in the burn model, VCs are more appropriate to go than private equity. And then there are some impact funds. So they're ready to take lesser returns, but they want, because you're working on some climate change or you're working on some bottom of the pyramid kind of initiative. So in that scenario, There are some impact funds that you can look it up. And then there are many tools. There are websites and some paid subscriptions like VC Circle, CB Insights. Then there's this site where you can find a list of a lot of angels and all that. So, but like I said, I have tons of angels and VCs associated with me. Unfortunately, we are not finding right and good investable, funding ready, fundable startups, right? So, with that, I think that was my last slide. So, with that, I would like to stop here and open it up for any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Nilesh. So I think first question is from Srinivas. Yes, Srinivas. Srinivas, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So good evening, everyone. Good evening, Nilesh sir. This was a nice session. So I gained a lot of interest actually. Before attending this session, I have gone through some of the videos and more fascinated towards the Shark Tank. Why every business idea is getting a funding. Why I'm not getting idea. I paid some fees to some other ventures and all those things. Enrolled and applied for some of the grants. But at least whatever the insights you thought, why the investors has to invest for our idea. So when they have a multiple choices, this is a opportunity cost. When I have 1 CR, what I need to invest, where I need to invest. Is it I can keep at least in the safest as FT? So that is the opportunity cost of money. So that's part I understand really well. So really thanks for that. So coming to the my product actually, we have many competitions. I will not going to extend too much actually into my product. So we have solar dried that will take a time and that is weather dependent. Only 3 or 4 months in a particular areas that is having a limitations. Connected to the freeze dried, freeze dried or even the spray dried that is using the maltodextrin as a chemicals. That's I am negotiating. We are operating that. Only the electrical dehydrated that are having a nutrients issues and quality of the food. We have objected that. So based on the suggestion from the CFDRA, we are using the heat pump things that is giving a very good value and nutrition things. We have tested our product even in the lab for for his repeated incubations. That's giving a very good value. We have tested. Coming to the B2C or B2B, we are mainly concentrating for the first year as a B2B, at least to get a more revenue. So at least companies should breathe the things, at least to get a more revenue. That's what we are already having a our mainly concentration is for the nutraceuticals, baby foods. And under the ODOP concept, one district, one product concept, Mysore is known for Nendran banana. Nowhere available, except the Mysore and Kerala region, nowhere available in India. That is having a very high nutrition value. Suppose even having a very good demand in Europe countries like Netherlands and Germany. That's where we are targeting, and we have a very good supply chain. When I was almost 7 years working in Airbus company in France, Toulouse, my friends and people are there. I am just connecting over there. How I can able to execute the order and supply to over there. So there's a different aspects I am having. So other than that, even finance also one more thing. Maybe this is not the right platform to discuss. I have one more because I am working in a Visa company as a program manager. I'm mainly into your debit card and credit card is having. I'm a program manager in Visa company, having a one more finance idea. I'm working on the 2 ideas actually. So that's a good session, sir. Really, thanks for your insights.
Thank you. And I'm sure you can connect to Shivam and his team, and they can handle you in various aspects.
Definitely. Yes, they are helping. Even so, man, Shivam, they are helping.
Sure.
And I think B2B is a good strategy. Yes, your brand may not get built, but at least you'll try to hit the break-even point so that
Exactly.
your operating costs are covered, and then slowly you build a B2C, because B2C needs a lot of things. You need a lot of money.
There's a lot of burning has to happen right now. I have got a PO based on the even funding from the SBI, and even I got a really thanks to Indian government, I got a 35% under Roman entrepreneurship PM FME scheme, food processing. I got it. With that, I wanted to scale up. Yeah, PM FME, I got it. So here is the Mysore executed that. With that funding, I wanted to scale up my things at least to make a revenue first, and after that jump into whatever the B2C first. And then with that concentration, I got orders even from the pharmaceutical industry and even from the nutraceutical industry. I got an order. So that's the story.
All the best.
Thank you for your wishes, sir. Thank you.
Guys, there is a question for Nilesh.
Hi, Nilesh sir. I have an unrelated question if you don't mind. So there are everybody on quick commerce side, everybody has a side. Some are pro, some are against. So as an investor, what are your thoughts on the quick commerce drive?
I see, pros are there, uh, and that's why we are all using it, right? But the cons are that as a society, I think we are becoming very lazy also. And I'm being told that they want to bring it down from 8 minutes to 5 minutes to 2 minutes and things like that. Do we really need so that is also killing our planning. There should be a time when you should make a list and go to kirana mal kharidne ko. Abhi today it is like, okay, we ran out of salt, let us order it, right? So in that sense, my only objection is they should not be burning money. If they are really adding value, then it should be making money. Na? Like if you see in equity also, if anybody is from finance background, at least what was taught to us was, as a company, your aim is to create shareholders' wealth, right? So where are you really creating value if you are burning money? That is my only my complain about any of these quick comms or any other businesses who are losing money, because you're using resources, right? You're using people and land and water and money, and what are you doing all that, spending 100 rupees and earning 50 rupees? That is something that boggles my mind. And of course what it has done is, unfortunately, it has killed all these mom and pop stores. I mean, the kiranas are shutting down, right or wrong, I don't know, but a lot of structural changes are happening, which is probably not necessarily going to be a good thing in long run.
100%, sir. Plus, also there is a lot of wastage and carbon emissions as well.
And the worst thing is the way they drive, man. I mean, it's like they're risking their life and others' life on the road, right? If you see those delivery boys, I mean, I'm scared. If I see one of them, I'm like, let me move away from them, because they have that burden. I mean, back in our days, back in 20, 30 years ago, also Domino's 30-minute was there,
Correct.
equally crazy drivers, but now it has become even worse.
100%, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Though it has, interestingly, I'll give you a few other examples. I don't know where you're from, but I forgot. Zip or something, that green color. There's one startup.
Yes, the Zip Electric.
So that startup is actually into battery swapping. Okay. So now what has happened is these delivery boys, they rent those electric bikes from Zip, I think that company is, 1,300 rupees a week, right? And they get daily 2 swappings is what they get. So there is a lot of innovation that is happening. That because of that, electric two-wheelers have come up, battery swapping has come up. So there are some good pluses to it also. But my only problem with these models are they should not be losing money. They should be making money. If they're adding value to you and me, to the society, it should be making profits. That's my only concern.
Right. So, Nilesh, we just got a feedback from Pratik. So, Pratik, would you like to share feedback?
Thank you, sir. Nilesh, the session was really nice, and just want to say that all my questions actually naturally answered how the session is progressed. So, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Sure, welcome.
Right. Yes, next question is from Vinod. Vinod, yes.
Hello, sir. Sir, my question is that if someone is into the functional food market, okay, so that particular combination of that nutraceutical or functional ingredient can be considered as a competitive edge or advantage to consider the startup is fundable.
Yes. So you have something new. For example, I don't know exactly what your functional food is, but let's say a Yakult for that matter, which is a probiotic, right? So you might be into a probiotic or a prebiotic, or maybe you're making a kombucha or something like that. So yes, that could be something new. You have a first mover advantage, but at the same time, whether there is a market, whether there is a problem statement, if there's a problem statement, whether the market knows it, like uh, you know, uh, nutraceutical is facing that challenge where creating awareness in the population, in the consumer is the big challenge. In nutraceutical, the biggest chunk is the protein powders, where because of the gym goers and all these whey protein guys, awareness is there. Slowly, steadily, now the vitamins and minerals are coming in. Like if we do a blood test, we'll find that we are all D3 deficient and B12 deficient, so we are taking those tablets. But there are so many other things, the likes of omega-3 or even D3, whether it is coming from animal source or vegetarian source. So some of this, especially in the nutraceutical space in India, right now it is still sold through what I call the prescription model and through the chemist model. So the consumer awareness, consumer knowledge is not there. So you'll have to spend a lot of money in creating that. If you go to the Western world, let's say US, you have the likes of Walgreens and CVS and stores where the customer goes, he observes the pack and he sees, okay, this has these many amino acids. Okay, this one has this much amount of omega-3, this much amount of omega-6, and then he purchases it, right? Like how today we do it in DMart and things like that. But still in India, buying nutraceuticals is still pushed and driven by either doctors asking you to take it, or someone asking you to do it, or the pharmacist or chemist giving it to you. Till that changes, I think this market is still going to be for classes and not so much for the masses. And I think I may have quoted some numbers also. Nutraceutical as a whole, I think right now sits at around 18,000 crore or something like that. $2 billion is where it stands in India. And again, mostly protein powders and some vitamins and minerals. But functional, like you asked, functional beverage, or I think you said functional food. I think we still have 19 people in here. If you ask them what does that mean, I can guarantee you 50% will not know exactly what it is, right? So you need to educate them, and that takes a lot of money. That will cost you a lot of money.
So for that matter, the investor will also consider a fund to utilize for the marketing or awareness related thing.
Yes. So you must have seen these ads from Setu. I don't know how many of you are watching IPL, and Setu is doing a lot of advertisement. So Setu is actually founded by owner of Omni Active, Sanjay Mariwala's son. So now I think they have come up with this product where you drink for tanning, like SPF. Typically, we use SPF 50 or something on skin, right? It's a cream, and I think recently I watched that they have this product where you put it in water and effervescent tablets and you drink it, right? I mean, I think it's a very novel product, but they have to spend a lot of money. Plix, you must have seen as a brand. They were funded by Sharp Ventures and then eventually bought by Marico. They spend so much money in creating awareness about effervescent tablets, about vitamins and other things, that we do need vitamin C. I mean, COVID taught us we need vitamin C. So that was a easy thing. But prior to COVID, how many of us really knew that vitamin C is useful to boost immunity?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
Nice. Guys, any other question for Nilesh? Yes, Abhishek.
Hello, Nilesh.
Hello.
Hi, yeah.
Yeah, hi, Nilesh. It was wonderful insight that we got from you. My question is, as an investor, what would you be doing?
Abhishek, there's some issue with the voice.
1 second. Hello, now? Is it better?
No. Yes. Yes, Abhishek.
So can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. As an investor, we are basically actually working on a crypto ecosystem where it's a one-stop solution for all crypto assets. So when I talk about crypto, I want to understand, like, as an investor, what are the things which you would be looking at, and is there any insights which which will help us in going for a funding round?
So, and this is just my personal comment, that I don't understand this whole crypto business.
Okay.
Because because I come from a school of thought where back in the days, even how currencies were done, that if you have X amount of gold, the country can issue that much amount of currency, right? And then US has bought that thing and they just print and print and print. So similarly in this whole crypto world, if I can't it, I don't understand how it works. I mean, in that sense. So I try to stay away from it. Though I do see there is some application. Hello. Hello.
Nilesh, yes, Nilesh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go on.
Nilesh, I think there's some issue with
Yeah,
your
I think.
network.
Yes, yes. I
I'll
think,
just keep my
there's
video.
some.
Yeah, can you,
No,
Yes, sir. I
yes,
can
sir.
hear. Please go on.
can you hear me now? Yeah, I don't know why
Yes,
it
I
did not
can hear
happen.
you now.
And so that's my personal opinion because I don't understand it. I try to stay away from it. But I mean, some people are now talking about multiverse and omniverse and this whole crypto thing. So people who are fascinated by it and who understand it, they will be willing to. My other challenge lies with the whole regulation around it, which is still a lack. I feel it's a little not matured as yet. But as and when it matures, I'm sure more and more investors will be interested in investing.
Thanks, sir. The one of my main idea is, crypto is still unregulated token, right? So our aim is to work with RBI and SEBI. So we are actually making sure that we are actually we are actually trying to get in touch with them, but we because of funds we are still not able to move ahead. So provided that we will be working with RBI. So would this be a game changer in the future?
Yeah, it could be. It can be. I mean, we need stronger regulation for it to become a game changer. That's my personal opinion. Because unfortunately, I think right now it's being used for money laundering and so I mean it has some beautiful applications like that, which are not necessarily legally allowed. So,
Understood, sir.
but like I
Thank you.
said, my understanding of it is limited, so I don't want to sway you or others in by my comments. Uh, Whatever little I understand about crypto is it has potential, but right now there are probably more risks involved because of which many investors may shy away. But I'm sure there are some investors who understand that this has so and so potential, and with the regulations coming in, I'm sure it will become successful.
Understood. Thanks so much, sir.
Thanks. Guys, another question for Nilesh. Yes, Srinidhi.
Hi, Shivam. Hi, Nilesh. Nice
Yeah.
presentation. Thank you. Basically, I'm a doctor who is working on agents for healthcare to simplify doctors' work and help patients handle their health data. So I'm working with Shivam for that. So my question is, as an investor, what are the things that are looked at in a health tech company with respect to scalability or investment? What are the investors' expectations?
See, health tech is a very hot area. I mean, a lot of investors are interested in health tech. And especially if it is a scalable model, I'm sure many people are. And there are many startups who are working in the health tech. So, right from your patient data management to having certain tests, like I'm also working with one startup who has this 50 test in one kind of a, not a kiosk, but a small printer level thing where there are so many tests that can be done. So there are a lot of things happening in the health tech. But if you have heard me, the key here is what is the problem statement that you are trying to solve, is it large enough? Is your solution good enough? That is something that you need to revisit some of the things that I said, and automatically you will get an answer. Health tech is very hot. I mean, recently in M&A space also we closed one deal. They're into medical devices, and it got bought by a large company based out of Mumbai, who distribute a lot of these health products. Right? So it's a very hot area because longevity is increasing, disposable incomes are increasing. So people are spending a lot of money on health. And if you look at US especially, unfortunately, 20% of their GDP is on in healthcare. So right from pharma to all, I think that is a very high number. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. Fortunately, India is not there, but obviously we are going to grow. That number is going to, as a percentage of GDP, is going to keep growing as people have more money. Like people used to die of cancer and all that because they didn't have money, so they died earlier generations, right? But now today, people are going to they're going to use a lot of preventive measures. Two, they are going to spend a lot of money on curative measures. They're trying to elongate their life. So healthcare is something that a lot of funds, VC funds, are very gung-ho about.
No, in terms of scaling, what are the points will be considered as an investor?
So when you
Right.
talk about scaling, if it is a platform. Hello. I am
Yes,
sorry,
yes,
but I
please.
think yeah,
It's fine.
it's really the platform, right? If it is a platform, then it becomes scalable. And when I say it's a platform, means it's more of an IT platform. So Swiggy and Zomato, if you really think about it, they are not food companies. They are a delivery platform, right? Or a Uber. They are not a taxi company. They don't own any taxis. It's a IT platform. So if you have a tech platform, IT platform, then you become highly scalable. But if it is more a product driven kind of a thing, then the scalability will be lower.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Why this thing never happens? Fortunately, it didn't happen in my 1 hour talk, so but I don't know why it's.
No issues. So Nilesh, we have a couple of more questions. So firstly, before we move forward, I would love to know, do you have time for attending these questions?
Yeah, let's attend.
Okay. Yes, I think next is Srinivas.
Hi, sir. Once again, I'm into a different question, not into food related. Sir, one more idea, related to everybody. We are talking about the India inflation, other things, and even the fast food delivery and other things. So main thing I have identified the problem is not addressing, as per my knowledge, not addressing the education inflation. Nobody is talking about that one. So if the everybody having issues in my network, are including me also, education inflation is neglected, not into merely into interest. Actually, if this year having a 1 lakh fees, next year the school says pay 1,50,000, nobody says no. We can't able to change the school also, will continue, just increase the fees. That's the education inflation is affecting. I have that one of the idea to resolve that issue, and with helping those education institutions. I have discussed with one of the school that they told that's a very good idea, and the education 2-3 institution I have discussed it. So education institution that will going to benefit, and even the children also will going to benefit, and even the parents also. So that is a combination of idea I'm having. Is it this particular idea is falls under the fintech, or even in the different edutech idea? So because when I talking with them, fintech already, so many things, investors are not ready. Edutech, I'm talking, investors are saying, because in one of the forum, Educatech also, they're not ready to listen also idea. They're telling Educate is there are more of online courses, other things are there. There are a lot of investors, but my problem is not that one. So I'm not able to convey in a proper way, but mine is not into the edutech completely, not into the fintech directly, but having this, try to resolve the education inflation idea, the problem even many children are having, where I will go to suitable. Go ahead, sir.
So three things. One is maybe we can connect offline. You, me, Shivam can have a call separately, because firstly, you have not disclosed what the idea is. So I don't know whether it's edutech or fintech, right? So we don't know what exactly. It doesn't matter whether it's
Not
edutech
in the
or fintech.
open forum, but
It has to
separately
solve a
one-on-one I
problem.
can discuss, sir.
No, it has to solve a problem. It doesn't have to be edutech or a fintech, right? I'll tell you where the
Yes.
problem lies. With thanks to Byju's, the whole edutech industry and the funding in edutech industry has gone for a toss, right? And fintech also, there are a lot of small fintechs, but the problem is that they are not really solving a good enough problem and a large enough
Yes, sir.
problem. They might be solving small problem, but
Yes.
it's not large enough for investors to get excited.
True.
Scalability is not. And in fact, if I were you, I would actually get into studying schools, right? So you and I, we can join hands, and Shivam also, we can start school and charge 1 lakh rupees this year and 1.5 lakh rupees next year and 2 lakh rupees the year after. So that sounds like a better business model to me.
True. But how, like, as a responsible citizen or responsible individual, how we can able to solve the particular problem, the pain of children or even parents? Like, I have
Because
seen many problems,
education
sir,
has
actually.
not remained responsible anymore. Now it has become a business, unfortunately.
No,
Same
that's
has
a part
become
of
with
business.
मेडिकल राइट. We used to say भगवान होता है ना, डॉक्टर भगवान होता है. आज उसको KRA KPI है. He has targets of per bed per day
True,
targets
true,
दिया जा रहा है, unfortunately. So
true,
we
true,
are
true.
living in that era where we will also have to adapt and adjust to things like that.
So many people I am seeing surrounding, their annual salary is around 5 lakh. They have 2-3 children. They are sending to some of the premier institution. Yearly fees itself is a 6 lakh. They are like, taking a loan, other things. When you see the from first to 10th, inflation is very high for the education I'm talking about. They are like, keep on like, taking the loan and sending the, like, their children, at least giving the good education. I don't know the end what will going to happen. If you take the first PC, second PC, again, there's a higher things. I wanted to have a, my, like, problem, like, I have a solution, need to solve from 1st to 12th. That's all my, like, solution. That's effectively, everybody will get benefited. Even I have discussed with the 2-3 institutions. They told this is very good idea, but you should not tie up with this idea with anyone. This should be only with our school. That's what we can able to use the branding. I told, no, don't, as a business person, I'm a business person, don't bind me for your school. I'm a business person, I can replicate this for many students. So then, like, that's what,
Okay,
that's not,
we will connect offline with Shivam and we'll see how we can.
definitely, sir. Thank you.
I mean, nowadays homeschooling is also an option. I don't know.
Option.
I don't think I'm a big fan. I don't think I can school my
Not
child.
much.
He barely listens to me, right? So I don't know if homeschooling will be effective in my son's case, but that I know few people who are doing that. Not for the money part, for all the other things that you're also
Education,
saying.
like, just to give the knowledge to, like, children. So that's a different concept, sir, actually, what I have. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Srinivas. So, guys, any further question?
Thank you, Shivam.
Thanks,
Sure.
Srinivas. Okay, so I think we have discussed all the questions. Thanks a lot, Nilesh. It
Yeah,
was a great session, and it was nice interacting with you. Thanks again. And